Folks, every week we have our Washington Watch Roundtable, but this week it's being carried live on WBOK Radio, and I'm here in their studio in New Orleans with WBOK Morning Show host Gerard Stevens, as well as Terry B. Jones, publisher of the New Orleans Data Weekly, and Renette Desjoie Hall, the executive editor of the Louisiana Weekly. Folks, welcome to Washington Watch in a different way.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I want to get right to it. We spent some time in Plaquemines Parish talking with fishermen there, talking with business owners, and the frustration is stunning because here are folks, their livelihood is dependent on the water. In your reporting, in your conversations on air, what is, is that a fair assessment? We've had one guy who said, look, we are almost to the point of wreaking havoc on this place because this is just unbearable.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Their way of life is being on the verge of being extinct.
You say way of life. Do you think folks in the rest of the country really understand how important the water is to folks' livelihood?
No.
I don't think the people understand how important our way of life, or the fishermen and farmers' way of life, is to the rest of the United States. And that's the tragedy. But we've seen this, we saw it with Katrina as well, how important Louisiana, the Gulf Coast of Louisiana, is to the entire nation.
I think that I happened to go out there with Mark Morial over the National Urban League.
Right. And
we're talking to the fishermen. You have people who lived in that atmosphere for a long time. One of my concerns is like small restaurants, seafood restaurants. They're not going to recoup from this. They're not going to get an opportunity to recoup from this. We talked to some of the fishermen who actually were paid cash. BP says, well, give me a W-2. Let me know how much you made before, and we'll reimburse. Well, some of these guys don't have W-2s. I mean, and my real concern is that there's no way to track how much money these guys made before. So there's no way to reimburse them for their livelihood. And we go back to the fact that, on those small people, those people that people don't talk about,
right?
They feel that they can't get to, they're going to lose their livelihood. And I don't think they're going to be on prime time. I think they're going to lose their livelihood, their family's going to lose their money, and nobody's going to reimburse them.
Gerard, that ancillary issue, and that is when you begin to look at it in terms of it, let's say at the top you talk about the folks directly impacted, fishermen, and all of a sudden you talk about those families dependent upon the income from their jobs.
Right.
Then when you talk about, as you just mentioned, Terry, then you're talking about those restaurants and other services that fall below that, because if you don't have folks with money coming in to buy dinners and actually eat out, then they can't survive. But also, more importantly, these small businesses, they don't have the ability to, frankly, import shrimp and oysters from China like some of the other restaurants are seeing as well. And so you're talking about, beyond the fishermen themselves, just whole industries, whole communities that, frankly, are trying to figure out how are all of us going to eat.
We had the opportunity to go a little bit further than most, because we had also the black fishermen who were in the area of Plaquemines Parish, Point of Lahash,
right,
which is also one of the ports where...
And we spent time there as well.
They don't get the necessary publicity when it comes to we need help. But those men are out there on those boats every day. So we're talking about culture as well, the culture of the fishermen not getting the necessary publicity to say, hey, we need help.
Has that been frustrating from your perspective as you're watching national television, as you're watching the same faces over and over and over again, and for people to get a sense that, wait a minute, you have different folks here. You have Vietnamese fishermen, you have African Americans, you have folks, frankly, who are not on CNN, MSNBC, Fox constantly, and their impact is different than other folks' impact.
It is getting frustrating because it's not only just about the fishermen. We're finding out, as being in the news, and I think that everybody at the table here will agree, is that it has a lot to do with publicity and politics. Who's getting the most camera time? Who's saying who's not doing what? It gives
the squeakiest wheel gets the most grease.
Exactly. And you also get the different parties hollering, screaming that this one's not doing this and this one's not doing this.
We see this, again, not just here, other parts of the country. There are folks who operate in frankly, cash-only businesses.
Sure.
And that is, they might make $100 here, $200 there. I mean, that's simply how they're surviving, as opposed to, right, I'm sitting here keeping track of my receipts. I was talking to Donna Brazil about this, Renette, and she said that what you also have, you have folks that growing up, actually Lisa Jackson said this. She said that there were people who simply got shrimp and got seafood from their family members who worked, and they weren't necessarily paying for it, but that was just overabundance, and that's how they were able to survive.
Correct. I mean, it is a way of life that is so unique. I mean, we got criticized when we were displaced for Katrina because we were said that we didn't have a work ethic in other places, but the fact of the matter is our work ethic here allowed us to survive, and to survive very nicely.
I continue to see the governor on television imploring the president to create these barriers. But then you have the various reports that states, why isn't he unleashing the Louisiana National Guard that he has control over? Go ahead.
He pulled down, or he called 5,000. Of that, he's only, according to reports, he's only utilized 1,100. And the fact of the matter is, we have politicians scratching their head because the legislative session just ended. And he vetoed monies that were allocated to some of the parishes for all spill cleanup.